Please welcome the panel to the stage.
Belly my bag here. Oh, you did it.
And then it feels like it's been going for an hour, and it still says 47 on the clock right now.
It's hard. I was going to say good to see everybody, but it's so bright. There were people out. Hi, everybody. Good to see you under the lights. Thanks for joining us in our brand evolution and strategy panel. I think this is going to be really interesting because we just have four really interesting people, and that's what it takes. Right, Mark?
Oh, that's right.
Right? And you're going to go to the next game, you're going to win, the Timberwolves. It's all good. And we're in L.A., so sorry, Lakers fans, but hey, the Wolves are the better team. Thanks for joining us here in this panel. It's brand evolution and strategy, but I think that's kind of a bigger topic, right? There's a lot in that, from social media to understanding how media companies are going to evolve. My company, NBC, we're spinning CNBC off. We had a new corporate name yesterday, Versant. Talk about that a little bit. David Zaslav, former CNBC executive. So we have really, really great panelists here and a semi-good moderator, so I think we're in good shape. Adam Greenblatt, BetMGM, Cape Town, South Africa's finest, now living in the mean streets of New York City. Good to have you.
Great to be here, thank you.
Marc Lore, who's founded 30 or 40 companies for $1 billion each. How many is it? 4.
Boy.
Yeah, not bad. It's hard enough that most people start one company. Marc has founded and built and sold 4, and now has wonder companies. And you don't stop, do you?
Nope.
No, that's it. Just got to keep going. He's also an owner of, by the way, the Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx. Bree, I found out you want Bree, right? Correct?
Sure.
We have something in common. We're both from San Diego. And that's pretty much all we have in common because you're way more successful than me.
It's not true.
You moved to Italy right after college. Lived there for a decade?
Close to that.
That's amazing. And came back and started companies, now the CEO of PacSun. And David Zaslav, who is CEO and chair of Warner Brothers Discovery, but also is a long time, he really built, respectfully with some others, but everybody I talk to says David Zaslav is a guy that built CNBC because you built the revenue agreement that basically kept us alive.
Yeah, with John Malone to get it started way back in '88, and that was a disruption of broadcast. Really, was all these cable networks that went for a couple of years, and no one knew whether they would survive, and it became the way people watch television.
So I have to say thank you because you are directly and indirectly responsible for the fact that I can pay my mortgage. So I appreciate that. Still not going to make it easier on you. And I'm Brieane Sullivan of CNBC. So let's start this strategy session because, David, I will start with you just because our company is going through it as well. Media, your world, man, the disruption is just insane. So approaching it from a brand evolution perspective, what are some of the key things you focus on?
Well, first, Warner Brothers Discovery is a storytelling company. And at the heart of what is what's kept us around for 100 years are the brands, whether it's Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes, CNN, Food Network. They're all brands, and what they do is if you can deliver a great story under each of those brands, and we're striving to make sure it's on a contemporary basis delivered to people on every device, that people get nourished by different types of storytelling and different types of content. And Warner Brothers is, we have an abundance. We're launching Superman in about a month. And it's been 14 years since we've done a Superman. And so whether it's that or Minecraft or creating new content and new brands like Sinners, it's in the end, I think the best content wins, and building a brand so that people everywhere in the world can recognize it and say, I want to go see Superman, or I want to see Final Destination that launches in a week, or Minecraft, that ultimately, no matter how crowded the marketplace is, if you have the best stories and the brands on top of them so people know what it is and what they love, that you're going to flourish. And so that's really our primary focus.
I just took my son to the Minecraft movie, so you're welcome, by the way. You know, it's interesting, Bree, because growing up in San Diego, you just go to the mall and then all the stores are there. It seems so easy. Now there's TikTok, and there's Instagram, and there's X, and there's online influencers. And the whole, I think, and if this is wrong, just say, Brian, you're an idiot, shut up. The entire concept of what a brand is really different now. How do you manage through that?
It's definitely an evolving state. PacSun's consumer segmentation, our audience is Gen Z. So 16 to 24 is our sweet spot. And what's most fascinating about this particular generation is that they're not just consumers, they're creators themselves. And so by default, brands now, the control has really shifted. And consumers now want to co-create alongside the brands. And that is what creates an authentic brand relationship. And that has been the focus for the last 10 years, at least at PacSun, is the power of co-creation, the power of co-intelligence, and really bringing our consumers inside to a part of the brand ethos and a part of our community to forge the new way forward in this world.
You know, but brands can be created easily, but they can also like be attacked easily too, and it's a challenge. Somebody says a bad experience on some whatever it is, and they go online and they complain about it. You know what I mean? So it's hard to manage through the ups and the downs because social media you got to have like 100 eyes on everything, I think.
Yeah, and I think the power of social media is it's an open dialogue. So if a customer does come on and has a bad experience, there's an open-mindedness to have a conversation with the brand, and you have an opportunity to really leverage social listening to make it a powerful tool to create more brand equity, even in more challenging times.
Mark, these 4 companies you've built and sold, and you got Wonder now. What are some of the lessons that you've learned in building so many brands?
I think brands are created at the extreme. You know, I think
what does that mean?
Having the guts to go further than any of your competition when it comes to what you offer in terms of a value proposition to the consumer. A perfect example, I won't use one of my companies, but Zappos. I remember when Zappos sold online shoes, it was groundbreaking at the time. They were going to not only ship you the shoes overnight for free, but they were going to also allow you to take free returns back. And that was a huge step change, like to where the other players in apparel were at the time. And I think they built their brand around just doing something more extreme. And yes, the economics worked because the margins were much higher on shoes and apparel than they are in other categories. So I think looking for ways to take like the brand to the extreme and let the customers tell the story.
But you say it kind of like it's so like, oh, and they just decided they're going to do overnight shipping of shoes. Like, that's really hard. I mean, you know, you sold Jet to Walmart, right? And we use Walmart Plus. My wife and I use Walmart Plus. And there's stuff you'll order at like 10 a.m. and by 4 p.m. it's on your doorstep. And I'm thinking, this is actually insane. Like so you make it sound so easy, just go to the extremes. My guess is there's just no sleep in there. Like, is there a secret sauce? Like, what are people missing? Because everybody would like to do that.
Yeah, I think usually it's more expensive when you go extreme. It costs more, margins are lower, and you have to take a bet because it's unknown what the power of being extreme will actually be. I use the example sometimes of a truck stop bathroom. So there was this truck stop on the side of the highway, and you know, truckers weren't stopping there. The bathrooms weren't clean. Obvious. Make an investment, clean the bathrooms up, make sure that it was a good place to stop. Truckers then started to stop there, and they said, "Oh, let's take it a step further. Let's make the bathrooms even nicer." So they invested some money in making the bathrooms nicer, and guess what? Nothing happened. So somebody said, Let's invest even more. Let's make the bathrooms even nicer. Let's put gold faucets. Let's put stuff. Let's like invest in it to the point where, and somebody's like, "This is just stupid." I see you shaking your head. That's stupid. Why would you do that, right?
I just don't know if truckers care about gold faucets.
Exactly. It makes no sense because it's not something that anybody's going to care about. But take it even more extreme. Turn it into add hot tubs, saunas, massage rooms. Now it's a destination. Now people are coming there and they're talking about it. It's Instagrammable. People, the press start talking about it. It's like becomes the famous place. Every trucker has to stop when they're on this highway to check it out. It's like it becomes a destination, something so extreme that it actually garners press and word of mouth. And so what happens is, that's just an example, but most people, what you said is like you have to go through steps to get there. You don't just start and go extreme. You say, let's do the gold faucets, and people are like, that's stupid. You're not going to get any more truckers to stop if you make the faucets gold. It's the same thing like in any business. It's like if you lower the price $1, you're just going to lose money. Nobody's going to care. If you ship it, in 4 days instead of 5, nobody's going to care. How do you do something extreme enough that people not only care, but tell the world? And so that truck stop example is just a good example of like having to jump to the end point.
I've been to a lot of truck stops. I can honestly say I've never been to one with a sauna, but now I'm interested.
If you were driving down that highway, I guarantee you,
I would probably stop because
you're going to
stop. You said it, but now I just want to see what a sauna at a truck stop is like. I hope I come out.
But you got to take a bet, though.
Adam, it's interesting because if I watch the Wolves, if I watch any sporting event, you know what I see every commercial break? An ad for a betting company. Mm-hmm. Every commercial break, whatever it is. And they all want me to use them. Mm-hmm. They're all offering me something. Mm-hmm. You might be in the most competitive consumer-facing space in the market today. I mean that, sincerely. How do you stand out?
I agree with you, and I think bringing these two comments together is the answer. I think really understanding your value proposition and being able to storytell around that value proposition to enhance your message and really connect with your audience. And what that means for BetMGM, which is really sports betting and iGaming, they're two parts to our business. What that means is, I'll take our iGaming business. In our iGaming business, one of the things that makes BetMGM special, apart from having the best brand, the best, most relevant brand in the world of special premium entertainment with a gaming orientation, the brand attributes and values speak for themselves. But what we've done, we've said, okay, let's own a franchise. We've got unique and exclusive partnerships with companies like Atlantic Digital, where we own the IP for Cheers and The Godfather and a bunch of TV titles that we're drawing from established associations, building games ourselves, and presenting a gaming opportunity around those titles, building a constellation of titles around the things that already resonate. And it's that kind of thinking or that kind of approach that addresses the value proposition. Well, why BetMGM? What are the standout routes to market that both capture the imagination and also drive repeat engagement? Because in our industry, there's no long-term contract. Right? Every day I wake up, I choose to as a customer, I choose to participate or not. I choose my service provider in that really competitive landscape that you rightly point out. And so having a special identity, having a reason to be the destination is what we really obsess about.
But how do you stand out? Because I'm going to say something you're not going to like, which is that as somebody who does sports bet online, or bet online, but mostly sports. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I differentiate the brands as much as maybe you would want me to. How do you do that?
That's one of the challenges, of course. So how do we differentiate on brand? There's do I fit? Do I identify with the way you communicate yourself? And one of the things we've done is really lean into the magic of Vegas. The magic of Vegas, where everything's a possibility. We also are leaning into the really aspirational, we think, brand attributes of MGM Resorts, where you're going to stay at the Bellagio Hotel, you will have a most premium experience. You stay at the mansions, you will have the peak experience. These are real life experiences associated with the brand. So our sweet spot, if you like, in this very competitive sports market is what we have adopted the term premium mass. So if you want a big bet and know you're going to get paid, because we have MGM Resorts, the balance sheet and the many years of fulfilling brand promises behind us, you're going to get paid. You win a huge bet, you're going to get paid. And we're creating these really peak moments for our players. Last week.
Well, I think you're talking more about Mark than me with the big bets. You know what I mean?
Well, last week we took a player that had never been to Vegas before. He won a jackpot, $680,000 jackpot. We took him to Vegas. We put him up, really showed him Vegas in all its specialness, and gave him the big check. And we took him to an AC/DC concert, and he had the most wonderful time. And he couldn't do that without engaging
the ecosystem around him.
The ecosystem.
David, how much do you care about brand identity for Warner Brothers Discovery with vis-a-vis all the brands you've got? You talked about Superman, and you talked about Minecraft, CNN, obviously, and the other brands that you have inside of that. Do you want the consumer to know who WBD is, Warner Brothers Discovery? Does that matter to you? Or is it the underlayer that matters the most?
Well, if you look at the logo that we've chosen, the corporate logo, what matters most is, really HBO or CNN. It's our core brands that people choose because they want to consume a particular piece of content or storytelling. But that logo, that shield, there's an innate, heartfelt feeling that people everywhere in the world feel because it's for 100 years, whether it's Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes, or whether it's we were doing 100 movies at Warner Brothers a year in the 30s and 40s. So many of your memories, A Few Good Men, and when the movie ends, there's that shield. And the same is true for HBO. I think Casey Bloys is here. HBO is having the strongest run it's ever had, in history. White Lotus, The Last of Us, Hacks, Righteous Gemstones, The Pit. So many of these powerful shows, but they all fit under one patina, and that's quality. Our focus is not how much, and there are a lot of companies that are building very big businesses on this idea of just kind of flooding the zone with a lot of content. And that's not Warner Brothers. And so what our brands generally stand for is really high-quality storytelling. There are a lot of news networks in the world, but if something's happening in the world, CNN is probably the only network that has, when the tanks rolled on Russia, we had 22 people, and Christiana Amanpour, within 8 minutes, was at a desk, and we were telling you a story in Russia, or we're telling you a story in Gaza, or telling you a story in Ukraine. And those stories, in the case of CNN, are even more important because we used to be able to determine what was really happening with our eyes. And now, because of social media and AI, you need to have trust and storytelling. And so for us, those brands become an entry point and a huge advantage. Right now, we have Max as a global streaming service that's getting tremendous traction. But a lot of it has to do with the brands. When you go to Max, you see HBO, and you see all the Warner Brothers movies and the biggest TV and motion picture library in the world. And what we really need now, our philosophy, and I believe this, is curation. There's just so much content out there, and there's so many choices for you to spend time. So, if you see an Elizabeth Taylor documentary and it's in 12 different places, if you see it on HBO, you're going to feel different about it because you knew that it went through a certain process. And so for us, it's about curation and quality. It's not how much, it's how good. And that when there's an issue, we need to be there, on all of our platforms, whether it's sports or news or entertainment.
Not that there's anything wrong with other news channels either, though.
No,
Oh, the
no,
TikTok,
yeah.
not bad. Bree, you know, this actually goes to your world, and I know it's going to sound weird because David's talking about the media, but when you talk about a content creator economy, and you look at these huge platforms, right, like the TikToks and the Metas of the world, well, there's a lot of other ones that are underneath that as well in what's not, and things like that. So how do you view the different levels of sort of content creation? Because to your earlier point, everybody is a content creator. So how do you build a brand when everyone's kind of trying to do that on their own too? You know what I mean? Everybody in this room wants to be their own brand and whatever they do.
Yeah, I agree. In 2019, when TikTok was known as a dance app, PacSun took what was at the time considered a big risk, and we invested a lot in terms of building out our voice and platform there. And we were building it out not because it was the next hot social media platform, but because we believed in the power of the creator economy and social commerce, and we knew it would become more than that. So in less than 12 months, we had amassed 2 million followers on the platform. And today we sit as one of the top 3 brands on TikTok Shop in terms of social commerce selling. And it goes beyond the power of what happens on the TikTok platform. For example, we sold 200,000 pairs of jeans on the TikTok Shop through the Open Creator platform in the last 12 months. The Open Creator platform is super fascinating because it allows access to anyone who wants to be a creator to come in, take a sample from a brand, and tell their own story. And actually, there was a girl who had only 5,000 followers who sold 15,000 pairs of jeans for us over Black Friday.
What? How many followers?
And it's 5,000.
How did she sell so many jeans?
And it's the beauty of the algorithm and the virality of what can happen on that platform. It takes a trifecta of different things to happen at the same time in order to create that type of moment. And we've repeated that moment over and over again today. So I am a huge advocate for the power of social commerce. I'm an advocate of the power for open platforms that really will fuel the creator economy and that continued co-creation and the creation of a brand working with a huge community of creators to storytell their brand.
5,000 followers and 50,000 pairs of jeans?
15,000.
15. That's
Over Black Friday.
It's not like Girl Scout
3 or
cookies
4
in the office
days.
where you walk around and you don't say, you know, how many do you want? You know, it's just like you're going to buy how many? You know what I mean? But how do you do that online?
I think what was more exciting about that is we sold out of that jean online immediately at that same time period. And then we had a rush to our physical stores where girls were coming for the viral TikTok jean that had sold out. And so you could see how this simple creator strategy of an open platform was able to disseminate and create a very, very powerful impact for the total brand across all channels.
I guess I screwed up this panel, Mark, because I probably should have started with a more simple question, which is, what is a brand these days? Like, I've always, to David's point, like, we all know what a brand was before online sort of took over everything, right? A brand was something we saw at the mall, something we saw at the store, something we saw on TV, whatever it was. What is a brand today?
I think if it's the same as it's been, I think it's price doesn't have as big of an impact. Reducing price, increasing price doesn't have as big of an impact as it would on a more commoditized, unbranded good. So if you could take a brand that somebody really wants in the short term, you could raise price and it won't impact demand. Maybe over the long term it will. But if you get a commodity product and you increase price, you're going to lose a lot of sales. So I think brands are, I know at diapers.com, when Amazon dropped the price of diapers by 30%, they were surprised that our business was still growing because our company was called diapers.com and the diapers were 30% cheaper at Amazon. And it was because customers loved the brand and they loved the website, they loved the experience. And even though our diapers were effectively much higher in price, it wasn't enough to move them off. So that's what I would say.
Could you do that today? a diapers.com? Like, could you rebuild the same experience now? You were pretty early in the game.
Yeah. I think you could if it was the right brand. I do think brands matter, and they matter even more today than ever. People have an emotional connection to brands. You know, in an AI world, that connection is more meaningful, I think. So I think, I mean, at Wonder, in the current business, you know, we talk all the time about the brands. Like, we could have the exact same food, cheesesteak under one brand or a cheesesteak under another brand, and vastly different sales. Same exact product, same exact price, but the brand is what people really care about. So,
well, everybody here knows that Angelo's is the best cheesesteak.
yeah, Philly. Yep.
Some people say Jimmy's, but it's Angelo's.
Angelo's, I would agree.
On the south side, that's where if you're from Philly or go to Philly, you know what I'm talking about. You know, it's interesting about you talk about the emotional connection. I did a segment on my show on Fridays about sports gambling, Adam, and man, I had a good run for about 2 years. I was kicking ass, and I do three picks every Friday because why not? We can do it now. It's legal, right, David? So it's used to, you know, you can't do that on CNBC, but we can because everybody's doing it. And actually, the overlap, I think, between sort of the person who's going to trade NVIDIA all the time and the person who's going to bet on the Timberwolves or whatever it might be is there's probably a lot of overlap there. It's for someone to do that, not a long-term investor, but a trader. And man, it felt so good when I was winning. I mean, I was like, I loved it, and then I started to lose because I just didn't do well. That emotional connection that your customers have when they're winning is one thing, but you can't win every bet. You don't like them to or not, but how do you keep the brand, the emotional connection steady in a pretty unsteady business?
So it's an important question because, frankly, the sector is a zero-sum game. So
what do you mean by that?
When the player wins, we lose. When we win, the player loses. And net it's zero. You know, if you add up the wins and the losers, that's the industry. And one of the reasons why our sector has always been as popular as it has been, whether legal and regulated or not, it's always been there from the early days of the Egyptians with dice games. It's because it's an entertainment product and it makes you feel something. So really, if you like, the investment or the cost is the cost of entertainment. And one of the wonderful things about I think about our business, especially the sports business as well, is that in an average week, 45% of our players are winners. You know, it's not like the house wins all the time. In an average week, 55% will lose and 45% will win. Which makes, frankly, from sitting in my seat,
your business. That's a pretty good business.
It is a pretty good business, but you talk about business volatility, which is fascinating. I love our business. It's really fascinating, terrifying at the same time, because the March Madness now in the last 16 and the last 8, right? Every single favorite won. When all the favorites were...
How about college basketball?
College basketball, excuse me.
Yeah, well, NIL money has something to do with that, but that's a different panel.
It's a whole different
That's
conversation,
a whole different
and
panel.
I do agree
yeah,
with
but
you.
we need to
by
talk
the way.
about that,
Yeah.
not today.
But where does the majority of money go? The money goes from a betting perspective. The money goes behind the favorites. So when the favorites win, that's a bad outcome for the house. These things can happen. And that's part of the complexity of pricing correctly, managing customer level liability, managing risk. Our business has 3 parts. It's acquire, and that's about brand and do I identify with the brand, and it's also about promotions. There's a very, very central promotional component to our business. Then it's the underlying product experience. and total ecosystem, the value proposition. And then the third component that you have to get right is managing risk. It's not like a trading house where you have an underlying market and you can hedge your position. No. We are standing by our price, taking bets on the basis that our price is the correct price at any point in time. And bear in mind, over the course of a year, our prices, it's not like Amazon. You know, you get on the website and the price is what the price and you know what your margin is if you sell it at that. No. Our prices will in the course of an event, our prices might change 300 times.
It is amazing, the live in betting, how the odds change and the prices change. You would have never thought that.
And by definition, every time you move a price, the thing that it was before is wrong.
Yeah. But the consumer gets angry, Mark. It's like, so we'll pick on United Airlines because they're not here, okay? And anybody here flying back home or think they're flying back home in a Newark? Right? Yeah. You and I, yeah, good luck. I'll be with you. Oh, by the way, today's Real ID Day, but they're giving waivers, thank God, so there's no fist fights at TSA. But Newark, the problems mostly affect United Airlines because that's one of their hubs. The problems have almost nothing to do with United Airlines, right? They're doing a runway repair. They've got staffing shortages in the tower. Bear with me for a second, Mark, on this. United Airlines, though, is the one, that's the consumer face, right? So people get on United like, shit, United Airlines, I was delayed 4 hours, right, as I was last Monday night. I know it has nothing to do with United Airlines. I know the problem because I'm a travel all the time. But yet the brand of United is what people are going to go after, even though it's not them. How do you, if Scott Kirby, the head of United, was here, what would your counsel be to him? And I'm not picking on United, I mean like on dealing with brand problems that don't actually have to do with the brand themselves, but that's the name the consumer knows.
Yep.
Right?
You have to look at it as an opportunity. So at diapers.com, people that had busted orders, so this is like baby food jars that busted open or baby formula or things that or detergent.
Arrived broken.
Detergent exploded in the thing, that if people had that experience, they had a higher return rate than if the order went perfectly.
What does that tell you?
That tells me that anytime you make a mistake, it's an opportunity to do the right thing and do so in an extreme way, in a way that no other company would, to basically send a message that that's the kind of company you are, that's the kind of brand you are, that when things go wrong, we've got your back and we're going to take care of you in a way that no one else would. And it's amazing, like that time where something's like wrong, people are very open to like receiving about what it is that the brand stands for. So
maybe
in case
not
United,
fixing the problem, but acknowledging, just like in life,
not
I
only
screwed up
acknowledging,
and I'm sorry.
but not only acknowledging, thinking about what is the most extreme position that United could take with its customers, for the customers to say, wait, they're doing what? And it's just in that period when you've got a negative feeling about something that went wrong and somebody makes it right, but not only makes it right, because if it makes it right, it's like okay, but do something extreme that those people will never forget it. And you have a chance to make a bigger impact than if you did something extreme under ordinary circumstances.
I love it. And I think, Adam, that this is being live streamed. United should send us a G6 to Burbank, and we'll just go home.
Well, aren't we being invited on the I thought
Yeah,
we were going to get a lift.
I can't. I am not allowed.
You can. I'm going to Minnesota. You can jump on Minnesota if you want.
Yeah, I can't jump on Mark's plane, so United should send it. That would be extreme, Marc Lore. That would be, but it's not going to happen. But you get my point, Bree. Like dealing with, like your 15,000 pairs of jeans, 5,000 followers. You want everyone to love those pants, right? Like they want to love the jeans and buy more and have that come away with that great brand experience. It's not always going to be the case. So we were talking backstage, and you lived in Italy for years after college, and you realized that your pace of life, you were so fast, go, A++ personality. The Italians kind of taught you to pause and sort of reflect a little bit on life. I would imagine that's a part of solving problems too, is just take a breath, right? That pause, that refreshes. But I think that was actually a tagline of a soda. back in the day. You get my point. The pauses matter. You have to think through stuff.
Yeah, I think the power of pause, especially in the face of great challenges, helps to make better decisions because you stop and think about the long-term proposition for the brand. What's really right for the consumer? How can you over-deliver on the customer's expectations? And I think if you can also teach your teams to do the same, then it's a pretty powerful tool.
You make it sound so easy. Teaching your teams to do the same. Building a brand involves a lot of people, not just, maybe it's one influencer online, but I mean that the company side, right? David's got to motivate some of my friends at CNN and tell Aaron Burnett I said hello, by the way. You got to motivate a lot of people, Bree. How do you buy them? How do you get them to buy into the brand ID, the brand strategy, and that passion to win?
I think culture is always evolving and something that we at PacSun are very focused and dedicated to as a very intentional goal. And I think by setting very clear values as an organization, doing check-ins to make sure that you're following them, and being an organization that leads with purpose, it helps to gut check for everyone in the organization that you're making the right decision. At PacSun, we changed our purpose over the last few years. And it was a pretty significant change. We went from curating kind of the best brands and a lifestyle to a purpose centered around inspiring the next generation of youth and building community at the intersection of sports, fashion, art, and music. And by having a very clear view on our purpose and having the entire team all the way down to our stores really bought in on why do we exist. And the threat of, the competition is so fierce now that if you're not really clear on your purpose and your team isn't really clear on your purpose, then there's a tremendous amount of risk as a brand.
Bree, you also know that the youths, and I have a 21-year-old, impossible to believe I know, but I do. I had it when I was 8. Man, they're cynical. It's hard to build that trust with the younger folks these days, right? How do you be cool at PacSun? You want to be cool, but if you seem like you're trying to be cool, they're going to smell you out. You know what I mean?
I think that comes back to the power of co-creation. So really bringing the consumer, bringing this younger generation into the conversation about what we're building for the future, and the tastemakers and the creators that we choose to partner with. So whether it's our choice to partner with A$AP Rocky as our creative director, the work that we did recently with Paris Hilton and shining a light on ADHD, or our multi-year partnership with Selena Gomez with the Rare Denim and Rare Impact that's really focused on advocacy for mental health, those are very genuine and authentic ways to continue to tell our brand story with authenticity while leveraging multiple voices within the space. And I think that's really important, and I think that the audience recognizes the power in that.
David, you know whose brand you've made even hotter is Four Seasons. I mean, the White Lotus, you guys have actually, people went to Sicily. Now they're going to go to Koh Samui, Thailand, because they want to have that experience. But you guys made the show, but that's like, you don't own that brand, but there's like a partnership there, right? Your show. They have to trust you. Like, all right, you can film White Lotus with us, but we want to make sure, and there's somebody gets shot, I'm not going to say who. Tune in, it's a fantastic show. And by the way, it's made men with high foreheads sexy again. My wife loves Walton Goggins. Yeah! Yours and Mark's are really high.
A bald guy's sexy too?
It's all good. I know everybody's focused on Amy Lee Wood, but Walton Goggins, I have to say my wife's got a little bit of crush on him, so tell him I said hi also. But how do you negotiate with the other brand? Because that resort is like a huge part of White Lotus, but it's not you. How do you balance that out?
Well, it's a little of what you were talking about earlier. You're right. When Mike White and Casey chose Sicily, or this year they chose Thailand, it's a huge value to that community. I mean, if you could, the number of people that
7 months of filming, I think.
Yeah, but the number of people that went to visit Sicily because they got to see it through Mike White's eyes, and whether it's Four Seasons or just going to visit Sicily or Thailand, and part of that has to do with the fact that the philosophy of Max and HBO is it's great storytelling, high quality storytelling, together with community, and that idea of community, it's true for the Warner Brothers motion pictures. It's why we're so bullish on the motion picture business, getting people back to Main Street, because it's a shared experience. And White Lotus was a shared experience. There are other platforms that have amazing content, and it all drops at once. That's also a good model, but it's not our model. Our model is that on Sunday nights, you go to Max, and you have this shared experience. And it's a different philosophy. There's some philosophy which is give people what they want as quickly as you can and give it all to them. Our philosophy is it's okay for people to wait for great quality content. And you want people watching it together. You can see social media erupting right now with The Last of Us on Sunday night, or with Hacks, or with White Lotus. And the impact on the community is much more dramatic. And so, for 8 weeks, people are trying to figure out what's going on with Parker Posey, or we're using social media to kind of stir what's going on with this series and each of the characters and what are they wearing, and are your friends like that when three girls get together, or is Thailand really like that?
But are they decent people, David? Are they decent at
but
the club?
It feels old-fashioned, but I came from NBC, and we had must-see TV, and as human beings, we need a shared experience. We want to be able to call each other and go, did you see this? What did you think of that? And, or that you're going to go to the diner, or you're going to go to the baseball field, and you needed to watch Minecraft, and you needed to go with the kids, and you needed to see White Lotus. And that's part of our culture, this shared experience. We need to do things together. And when we do it together, we have a chance to have an impact on how people see themselves, see the world, see a particular issue, which is very different than the way a lot of social media works and a lot of media works, which is alone. And this is what you like, and we're going to feed you a lot more of that. And so I think the power of White Lotus and The Last of Us is the quality storytelling, the great people behind in front of the screen that Max and Casey foster. But it's also that people know when they come on that platform, it's not a lot. It's just really great stuff, and we spend time with it, and it's true globally. And you could have those stories have a real impact, and the offshoot of that is it has an impact on where they go. For same thing as with the way we handle sport, or the way we handle CNN. You want to affiliate with quality brands, and this next week or 2 weeks from now, the Epic theme park, Universal, is going to open up. It's absolutely fabulous. But a center spoke of that is Harry Potter, this extraordinary Harry Potter ride. And we have a great partnership with Universal and Brian Roberts. But it's that the original Harry Potter helped Universal get even stronger. And now it's the same. It's, to affiliate with Superman or Batman or Lord of the Rings or White Lotus or HBO, or these are, in a world of a lot, to the point that you made, how do I know if these things look the same? Well, when you see that brand, you know that there's a huge group of people that have a shared value and a shared culture, and they're going to fight to have that content or those stories meet a certain standard, and therefore you're going to open that door and you're going to go through and you're going to spend more time with it.
I have to say, walking into and thank you for the Universal plug. Walking into the Harry Potter world and seeing people that are they come in costume, like they're dressed up. The only thing I would add to that is don't have a lot of butterbeer before you get on the ride. Because if you've been on the ride, it's a combination of physical movement and video. Don't have a lot to eat or drink right before you
But
get
the
on.
power of a brand, we took Harry Potter. It's not only in the theme parks. We also have Harry Potter World in Leavesden. It's a year and a half is the waiting list to get in there. And
A year and a half?
Year and a half to get in there. We opened one in Japan, and it was profitable. It also, that has over a 6-month waiting list. And we're we're embarking on 10 consecutive years of a new Harry Potter series, which J.K. Rowling and Casey and Channing are producing. When you get a hold of a great brand, the power of it, because people fall in love. It's like an old song that you remember when you went to camp or when you fell, your heart was broken for the first time. And that's what content can do. And we all need more of great content.
Well, it is, and let's we're winding down here. And there are, by the way, there's questions and a QR code, and some of you have sent them in. And thank you. If I don't get to them, it's just that I'm ignoring you. You talked to Adam about brand. I'm going to Vegas on Friday night. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have not booked a room yet, but now I'm like, maybe I'll check out MGM because there's a connection now, and I feel connected to you, and it's all very nice. But it is the brand emotional connection that I think the four of you in different industries, different stages of careers, different whatever, you kind of all keep coming back to that same, I'm picking up on this same thing where there's a connection. And I think, Adam, your job, like you've talked about, is kind of keep your customer connected to BetMGM. And then have that say, when we go to Vegas, because we all want to go as a group of guys to watch the Elite Eight and basketball, right? We want to go have a group of dudes and we're going to hang out. We're going to go to MGM, right? Because we want to, you feel a part of sort of that family. It's a family in a weird way.
It's the where do I belong and where do I identify? And our job is to make the substance of that identification, like the lived experience of that, consistent with the brand promise. And our way, and one of the things that is terrific about the fact that I have a 50% shareholder that is MGM Resorts, is that we can meet our brand loyal individuals wherever they are. So we're at BetMGM is a digital native offering, right? Pull out your phone, there we are, right? But you want to go to Vegas? You're an important player to me. Our MGM Resort hosts will meet you and greet you and make sure that in the real world, which obviously digital is the real world, but in the physical world, you will have an experience that is consistent with how you are valued in the digital world, and that's important. And I think that for us is a differentiator. And I think individuals want to be seen, and being seen wherever they choose to go, I think, is one of our superpowers.
Mark, you were nodding.
I agree.
He's with what? He said a lot.
All of it. No.
He agreed that you're going to be greeted by his greeters when you fly to Vegas?
I was nodding really about sort of connecting the digital world to the physical world and the value that has. A lot of digital brands, decided to open brick and mortar stores like a Warby Parker, for example. And I think everyone that had a digital brand that went brick and mortar realized the power of having still a physical presence where you can interact with people that represent your brand and have a conversation.
Does that still matter?
It does. It actually matters. I think it matters more now. The same way when people say, does direct mail matter anymore? It actually matters more today than it did in the past. It's like, it's definitely, like in a world that's all digital, things that are not digital
100%.
matter more. So same thing with Wonder. We have a digital platform where you can order food, but it's the brick and mortar and the experience that we give you when you walk through the door that really...
and this is why we're all here. Now, we have the ability to be here. So we're a pretty small group of people, but I think these conferences, they sell out so quick because people want... I always say to my team when we go... Because David, that a lot of what we do on CNBC and CNN, it's competing for the best guests and the biggest things. And when people know you, they say, Sullivan's all right. He's going to treat me all right. And I tell all the new people that come in on my team, I say, I understand you're young and you're sort of a digital native, right? And the easiest thing to do is just send an email or text or whatever. But there's no substitute for the power of knowing somebody in person, shaking that person's, him or her hand, right? Understanding that. But what's weird about this, Bree, so a lot of us here might be staying at like the Beverly Wilshire, or, you know, you're walking a lot, right? If you guys walk down Wilshire Boulevard, it's all empty storefronts. And I'm thinking this is like some of the most valuable real estate in the world. Maybe that's a unique LA thing, I don't know, Bree, but like how much do physical brands or the physical world, like the Harry Potter world, which matters, right? You feel like you're part of that world. How much does that matter to like what you do in PacSun?
I think physical stores and experiential moments within physical stores matter more than ever. And we have seen an increase that's very notable in the last 18 months specific to return to malls and the importance of malls and all of the excitement for Gen Z about returning to the malls. So this is a generation that grew up fully digital. They're digitally native, but they do want to have the Yohji Yamamoto Formula One Las Vegas experience of being able to do the simulator and come into the stores and touch and feel the product. And so it's a real balance. As much as we have a heavy focus on digital as we look to the future, we are opening stores at a very quick clip here in the US and also internationally because we know the importance of physical spaces.
I think maybe, do they need the combination? Again, I'm just speaking as a dad, but I watch the behavior of my teens and sort of how they want to do stuff online, buy stuff, watch shows online, whatever, but they also want to they want to go somewhere. They want to see other people because it's, I don't know if it's COVID or the lockdown, you know what I mean? Whatever it might, there's a certain age group you want to be around humans. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I like people.
Well, they're definitely craving experiences, and I think that finding unique ways to connect your brand through physical, digital also meaning in the kind of video, social media, beyond that space and commerce standpoint is really important to the longevity of the brand.
And it was great, going to see Minecraft with my son, and he's 10, and he plays Minecraft, and we all do well in this, and I've got a big screen TV at home, but going to the theater and hearing the laughter of the other kids, and the parents, the kids are laughing, they're having a good time. Like, you can't replicate, and you come away and you see them smiling as they walk out.
Look, it's very primitive. It started, thousands of years ago, sitting around a campfire with a group of people, tell me a story. And there's really nothing like that. We have gotten more individualized, and I don't even think it has, yes, COVID was extreme, but people are spending more time having content sent to them. But more and more now, the events business is huge. People want to be around people. We just had Sinners is one of the most successful original movies.
Where are you going? All right, see you later. Marc Lore, everybody.
People want to get out, and it's good for the economy. You go out and you go to the theater, and on the way in, you maybe stop on Main Street, you take your kid for an ice cream. Afterward, you go out for a piece of pizza, you go with a friend to the pub. It's really critical that we open up Main Street, and that's why a couple of years ago we said we're in the motion picture business. It's the best storytelling vehicle. The lights go out, there's no phones, and it's a shared experience. We tell you a story, and you have a chance to have a huge impact. I think Minecraft will be remembered. People are going 3, 4, 5 times for kids. I remember when I went to see Rocky. Barbie is another one of our movies, and the joy that brought out globally.
Was that a surprise to even you?
It's always a surprise.
It was such a gigantic hit. I mean, I knew it was going to be
because things have to align. It's the culture. It's the movie gods. It's hitting a moment in time where these things resonate. This is a business of failure and success, and the best you can do is when you finish a series or a movie that you just say, I love it. We've made it the best it could be, and I hope that the audience loves it, and I hope that the viewers love it. And sometimes they don't, and that's the business we chose. But when they do, it feels wonderful, and you can have an impact that's really extraordinary.
I think there's always a surprise. This is my 24th Milken conference, 24. Nobody's been to more except for Mike Cloud and Michael Milken. I've never had anybody refuse to come back on a panel, but I've never had anybody also run out during a panel. So that was a first, Adam. So I love, even at my elderly age, They're still first. We're going to start wrapping up. Are there any brands you really, you respect, but are brands you love? Marc Lore, everybody. You had to go place a bet on BetMGM.
Good thing you
Download yours today.
He started to do a number on you.
I was like, that frickin'. Oh, there he is. Welcome back, by the way. I hope it was good. Adam, are there any brands you just really respect?
I did actually want to pick up something that Bree said earlier about the power of brand consistency. One of my learnings along this BetMGM journey, when we started, the corporate entity, trying to get close to the MGM lion, and the corporate entity was called ROAR, R-O-A-R, right? And so there was a disconnect between what our corporate entity was called and what our go-to-market consumer proposition brand was. BetMGM was our consumer brand, and the company was called ROAR. We had a rather uncomfortable board meeting where there were too many expletives, and we decided, okay, we're going to bring those two things together. And
what happened? Because now I'm a part of Versant. It was branded yesterday.
It was the opportunity, really, of bringing them together. And what we saw was it was such a powerful galvanizing tool. Because what we saw is now BetMGM globally is 2,600 people. And the successes of the consumer brand were somehow internalized. And it was a very aligning and motivating thing to bring the two together. It's all about just BetMGM, and so we succeed together, we fail together, and the abstraction of a different name, and obviously relevant to the changes that you're going through, the abstraction of those, the differences between the two names before was value destructive. And so, we should have done that earlier if there's a learning.
Well, it's relevant to us because I think CNBC is one of the most liked, I hope, respected, and relevant and noticeable brands in the world. I get recognized more in Singapore than I might in New York because there's such an aspiration for money around the world. People that grew up with not a lot, CNBC signifies success. David, you helped build that, and I think the brand is hugely powerful. So we are, it's public. We're being spun out with MSNBC and a few others into a new holding company, and the holding company's got its name, but our brand of CNBC is super powerful. When you're spinning that out, and I know you're very close to this. You know my bosses and everything, so just throw a good word in. But we have to be careful with this too, right? You want to make sure you do it in the right way where you don't have the ROAR experience, right? Whenever you have a new brand identity, you guys bought Discovery and Warner Brothers, and now it's WBD. It's a challenge.
You need to honor the brand because a successful brand means there are a lot of people that feel an affinity to it, that feel a connection to it, that are willing to spend time with it, that trust it. CNBC is a very trusted brand. The challenge for brands is you need to evolve those brands. So, at CNN, Mark Thompson has a whole team working on CNN needs to be on every device. And it needs to be offered in multiple ways because the traditional business, even though we're global with CNN, we may be the most trusted brand in news. Over time, if we're just on cable channels or free-to-air channels around the world, we're going to decline. People are consuming more content on their device, which is effectively a set. I went into the control room at CNN the other day, and most of the young people in the control room were on their phones consuming content. We need to be on every device, on every phone. That's true for all of our great content. We need to figure out a way to reach people in the way that they're consuming it. And the advantage we have is that just like when you turn your TV set on, there's 58 choices. Ultimately, people they follow their heart. Where's the place they've had success that's nourished them and that has been a good experience?
And Mark, we'll let you wrap it up because I consider the phone basically like, I use Apple TV Plus at home and Comcast, and you can delete an app. I think the two easiest things to do in the world are to change a channel and to delete an app. So just quickly, how do you get people to not delete? How do you get people to download something and then not delete it? Like make it a part of this is my life.
Yeah. I think it goes back to everything, to tie up everything we've been saying. It comes down to to brand, right? Like if you have an emotional connection to the brand, and the brand is accessible through an app, you're not going to delete it. I think it's as simple as that.
I hope it's as simple as that. And man, this CNBC app is really good. I don't know if you've seen this. We have CNBC Plus, which is new, and $14.99 a month. It's a bargain. Adam, Mark, Bree, David, thank you. Made the panel great. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And have a great rest of your Milken. Humans matter. Take care. Thank you. All right.